what up? What up? Good morning. Good morning. GMGM Monday. Oh, baby. Ouch. Monday. Fuck me, dude. I didn't even kill myself this weekend. March 3rd. New month. 2025. Look at that. Another beautiful day to have a beautiful day. It is a great month. It's the month of the Persian New Year. It's the month of the renewal, the month of the spring equinox. On March 21st at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it'll be 6 by then because we're changing times, I think. But it is a big month for my people. It's an important month. It's a good month. We're feeling positive about it. It's one of my favorite months. After my birthday, actually, I think it's my favorite celebration over my birthday. That's how big it is. Yeah. So it's a nice, usually it's a very positive month. So we like that, right? It starts getting a little warmer. Montreal didn't get the memo. It was minus 27 yesterday. But it's usually a sign of better. Man, I really mess I can't move my neck. I have to like move my chair to look at my different screens, you know?
What happened? Just from your workout?
Yeah, Saturday I decided to put I've been like elongating my workouts. So instead of an hour, I do like 75 minutes now. Okay. And on and on. So I did 50 minutes just on my back. And then I do like a 20-minute buy. Then do like I was like I guess 50 minutes was like a little too much for my body. Like I think my body was just not down for 50 minutes of backlifting. So now I can't move my neck. Yeah. We didn't go out this weekend. We're still working on the health chart. So we're good. Tyler, how's your weekend? How you doing today?
It was good. I mean, what a wild turn of events yesterday. We're used to puking all weekend, and now we had like the most green weekend we've had in what feels like months.
What's that meme with Kim Jong-un, like in the midst of we're still over? I found like when he's lighting a cigarette on, you know? I mean,
yes,
it's over again, but it's okay. It was a fun.
It's a fun 24 hours. Now we're coming back to earth a little bit here.
It was a fun Sunday. It was a fun Sunday. The boys all caught the move, right? Like it looks like you, me, Mando. I know Ovi did as well. I know a few of us, and we cut that Solana move pretty well. So it's you love to see that. It was a great weekend. Anyways, also, I'm cooking on Myriad, dude. Like, how much Bitcoin will like? I bet that Michael Saylor is gonna stop buying Bitcoin this week, and I just made 200,000 points off that, so that's not bad.
Nice.
Oh, and the Lakers won. Oh, and I won Adrian Brody, best actor in leading role for Oscars. Dude, I am on fire on Myriad. I wish my points counted towards the leaderboard. I'd be cooking you motherfuckers.
You nailed the cricket bet. I wish I'd put more capital.
Dude,
that one.
You got the thrower or whatever they fucking call it in cricket. Like the guy who throws the ball, he's throwing the ball with an $800,000 Richard Mille. Like this takes immense amount of self-confidence and balls. Also, if he has a Richard Mille on, he's probably like the top athlete. I feel like, you know what I mean? So it's like a mental game. You know what I mean? So study that. Yeah. If a tennis player is rocking a Richard Mille playing, if a cricket player is also rocking a Richard Mille playing, usually you want to slam it. Plus, Indians are notoriously good at cricket. Study OSF, who was actually cricket champion 2 times, under 13 in the Pee-wees.
Wow.
So yeah. So it's a pretty big deal. Anyways, today on the show, markets. We lost the man. We're 1 man down. I don't know. Mando must have had an emergency. But we're man down. But we'll talk markets. Don't worry, we can do our thing. We'll talk markets. We'll talk. What else are we talking about, Tyler? We have top 1,000. I mean, we got to talk about this weekend. I mean, this whole it's a big week because there's crypto summit on Friday. Anything can happen. We have an announcement at 1:30 p.m. today. We have a big Congress thing appearance tomorrow night, per Trump. So it's going to be a big week. And then let's talk about this. Then last but not least, this show is powered by. Well, I'll tell you who this show is powered by. This show is powered by Galaxis. Galaxis is a Web3 platform empowering creators and brands to build unstoppable communities with full ownership and independence. Trusted by icons like Donald Trump, Steve Aoki, Mike Tyson, and the NBA, shaping together the future of engagement. But also, we do have a new rolling title sponsor today on the show, Wallet Connect. I mean, you've all heard of Wallet Connect. For sure, you've probably used their infrastructure because like 30 million people using it in crypto. True story. Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect. The blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto as recognizable as Visa at checkout. Dude, that's a good read, bro. Who wrote that? Want to learn more? Follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. Dude, I like those reads, Tyler. Like our partners are giving us some good. Look at that blue logo. It's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto. Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
Can you name more transparent hosts than us when it comes to sponsors? We're like out there. I love this shit. I fucking all right, Tyler. I'm just gonna go straight to your top. Let's take it top down for this show. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
For daily NFT and crypto analysis. Tyler take on FOMO hour cause the kids can't miss.
Ready to bash the Bears. Folks, top story yesterday, we got the surprise announcement from Donald Trump stating that the crypto strategic reserve will include XRP, Sol, and ADA. He then went on to clarify, of course, in addition to Bitcoin and ETH, this made all 5 of those tokens just absolutely skyrocket on Sunday and impacting the broader market as well. This came just a few days after the White House announced first ever crypto summit taking place this Friday, chaired by David Sachs, with founders, CEOs, investors, and that core crypto working group members all in attendance. So that's going to be a big one. The other big headline, we talked about this on Friday's show a little bit, but I didn't quite understand the depth of it. But BlackRock added its Bitcoin ETFs to its model portfolio for the first time, adding a 1% to 2% allocation, which opens the doors to hundreds of billions of dollars in copy trading. Still, arguably the biggest announcement of this past weekend. So I think we got to talk about it a little bit more. Bitcoin ETFs did see positive inflows on Friday, 94 million, their biggest day in a few different weeks. Arizona's Senate, one step closer. They passed their strategic reserve Bitcoin bill now on to the House for final approval. Metaplanet keeps buying, even though Saylor didn't. Saylor marked safe from the dip last week. He did not buy.
Thank God, dude.
But Metaplanet did. They bought 13 million. And then there's a vote coming today, the Senate, on repealing this one of the recent IRS rules against crypto and DeFi. So that's going to be another one to watch. In token airdrop and protocol news, Kalshi designated as a covered exchange by the CFTC. Huge
Saw that
for prediction markets. Kronos considering a proposal to reissue 70 billion Crow tokens that were previously burned. Not sure I've seen that anytime recently. Infinex announced self-sovereign Bitcoin vaults. And then, folks, Runes pumped yesterday. It seems tied to this launch of Odin.fun, which is, I think it's a new L2. It's on the ICP, but these tokens have actual liquidity. Like we're talking $10 to $40 million in daily volume on some of the leaders. So maybe some light at the end of the tunnel for Runes. We'll talk about that. Rest of the board, AI up a touch. Some of the leaders up 10 to 20% or more in the wake of the announcement yesterday. Fartcoin was a top winner. It was up 50% at one point. Meme coin leaders up about 3 to 10% broadly. The Libra scandal actually made the front page of the New York Times on Saturday. Ronald Dino, in a sign that we are kind of cooling off from meme aping, Ronald Dino launched this star 10 meme on BNB yesterday. Got to 30 million. So it's harder for these tokens to run these days. And NFTs, On-Chain Heroes introduced the dungeons as the next phase of their P2E game. That starts today. And then Luca wearing the igloo hat today for a reason. He shared something coming, perhaps for those American-made JPEGs coming out of the news from Donald Trump. So an announcement.
Is that so?
But it was provocative.
Is that so, huh?
Yeah,
is that so? We should open a market on that. Will there be an NFT ETF? So an ETF composed of 100% NFTs filed by the end of April. Would you take that?
In 2025,
I said filed. I said filed.
Yeah, in 2025, I take it. April is close.
I like that though. I like those odds. I mean, prediction market's gotta have nice odds, right?
Yeah, I'm probably also take yes for filed. Yeah, why not?
All right, you heard that. Who's listening from a team? I just got off at the call with the team. We're like planning our first USD markets as we speak. So they're coming. They're coming. I don't know if you caught that, but the Sims is being cheeky out there on the. I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then I read the first letter of each word. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Before we move on, so I shared a post yesterday before all the news came out, just talking about the Myriad Twitter integration. It's slick, folks. If you haven't checked this out, it is cool. So like I saw one of the folks I follow, Ibra,
it's getting better.
He shared a thesis about the Bitcoin reserve market on the state level, and he had the market embedded, and I could just bet live.
It's nice. Yeah. If you have the extension, you can bet like that's what Tyler's talking about on screen. It's like this is a tweet, this is not a market, but you could actually click on this and use the market. So yeah, that was nice. I saw that. It's really nice. It's well done and it gets better. I saw your notes. Like if anyone has notes or like suggestions, keep sending. But yeah, we're gearing up for USDC markets ASAP. So you guys are gonna have a lot of fun. Anyways, Tyler, let's go back. Let's take it back a little bit. I feel like we have to talk about this weekend first, right?
Yes.
So that was like the biggest news. Markets bounced a lot. I'm gonna pull up some charts here, but take it for us.
Yeah, yesterday afternoon, we got the surprise announcement from Donald Trump. I think it was shared on True Social first. He says a U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration. So he's reinforcing here his executive order on digital assets. He's directing the working group to move forward on that reserve. The reserve will include XRP, Sol, and ADA as he looks to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. So that was the first announcement. People are just spinning, going wild. XRP, Sol, and ADA are starting to pump. I think Bitcoin starts to move a little bit. Then there's chatter on the timeline. Wait, does this mean ETH is not included? Does this mean Bitcoin is not included? And then an hour later, Trump comes out and does clarify that obviously Bitcoin and ETH, as other valuable cryptocurrencies, will be at the heart of the reserve. So I don't know that we have the comprehensive list here. Like I feel like this is the potential list. I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but that was the news. These are the 5 tokens. Those 5 all just absolutely skyrocketed. I think Bitcoin printed the largest candle in its history. I think it was
really?
a $1,000 candle. I think that was.
Whoa! You mean weekly or daily? Fuck, that was a $10,000 daily.
Yeah.
Oh
I did not verify this, but I saw a headline that it was the biggest daily candle ever.
I mean, it has to be largest daily candles ever on Bitcoin. It has. I mean, $10,000. Yeah. I don't know, but it's got to be, right?
Yeah, it's got to be up there. Just because, I mean, it would have to have been done in the last 3 months anyways, right?
I remember not long ago we said it was the largest daily. It was like 8K, so surely this has to be it. Yeah. Wow. It's given back half of that so far, but that's not a bad place to buy on the bounce. We talked about it last night. I even told you like high 80s. Probably is not that bad. Wow, what a candle though, eh? It feels good, right?
That was a candle. But then look at Solana. Solana went like, what was the daily on Solana yesterday?
The daily on Solana. Oh my god, wait, hold on. Oh my god, that was a massive fucking candle, bro. It went from 140 to 180 essentially.
Yeah, I mean that.
Wow.
In terms of percentage, we basically just lost that very quickly as well. But like, my God,
that's a nearly 30% candle on Sol yesterday. Nuts.
I feel like the people who bought 135 is like with the hope of going to 160 or 180 thought that might play out over like weeks or months, and it played out in an afternoon.
I mean, we all even thought like I personally like that's why I have my my astrology on the board here, but it's like always 163 I thought was Pico top again. So I sold a bunch, like 160, but went higher. So well done. I mean, this is really good to see. It's relief, right? Like you much rather have even Solana hover over the 160s than that bottom range here, which kind of sucked.
It was nice relief. It's like hard. Like, do we know if the bottom is in or not? We can get into the broader macro conversation maybe a little bit later. I don't know that a whole lot has changed like since what we were talking about at the end of last week, right? And like this news event itself. Like I was trying to wrap my head around it yesterday. Like, is this even news? So the news
no, because it's an executive order, right?
He named new tickers, which I think is the specific news.
Yeah.
But like we knew about this executive order. We knew that this working group was to build this plan.
Yeah.
And even last week we were talking about like there was a Senate subcommittee meeting and they weren't making very much progress. Like they were moving very slowly. So like the real meat of this news did feel a little light. I guess the bull in me, like the hopium here is that like this reinforces that this is something that is top of mind for and then arguably, I mean, maybe the White House summit on Friday is the actual news, right?
I'm very curious what happens then. So let's revisit some of the tweets from the White House or close to it. Eric Trump, 12 hours ago. I love the genius of announcing a strategic reserve on a Sunday when traditional markets are closed and Wall Street sleeps. For the first time, retail investors win. Traditional finance better catch up or it will become extinct. The world no longer runs on the Monday to Friday. 9 to 5. What a tweet from one of our top 3 KOLs, right? You know,
Incredible.
Donald Trump is number 1, right? You have Cynthia Loomis and him. It's like our favorite KOL. Oh, the Caesar too. So the czar. So we have a few big KOLs now. Tyler, you're gonna be competing for yaps, dude. And then an hour ago, he said, "You're welcome, my friend. Hopefully, I made someone's life just a little bit better." Now my advice is hold, i.e., long term. What do you think of Eric Trump here? I love that.
Yeah. And so clearly they're looking to build tokenization on Ethereum. I don't know if they're specifically looking to get into like tokenized stock trading.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly 24/7 trading availability is a foundational aspect of crypto. It makes it great.
A lot of people are angry at the ADA ad here. I mean, there's David Sachs' official account from the government, and I'll show his personal account in a second, but this has pissed off a lot of people. What is your thoughts? I saw even Brian Armstrong, not pissed off, but actually it did piss off a lot of people. But Brian Armstrong's thoughts were excited to learn more, still forming an opinion on asset allocation, but my current thinking is 1, just Bitcoin would probably be the best option, simplest and clear story of success for the gold. 2, if folks wanted more variety, you could do a market cap weighted index of crypto assets to keep it unbiased. But probably option 1 is better. What is your thoughts?
I tend to agree with that. I think for one, like the FUD against Sachs was that he is an investor in Bitwise, and Bitwise's largest holdings are those tokens that were all included. He did come out and say, "Hey, I sold all my personal investments," but I don't think that carries over to Bitwise, and people are just going down the crony capitalism route. This is just Trump trying to enrich his friends, and that was the big narrative that I saw, and it's loud, and I think there's going to be a lot of pushback to this. My thoughts in general, it does feel like this could be a negotiation tactic by Trump here to start wide, knowing that perhaps all 5 of these don't get in, but then it's easier to pull back and get Bitcoin into the reserve. I would agree with Armstrong's take here. I think Bitcoin is the easier case, especially just comparing it to gold. Market cap weighted, of course, is probably the simplest way to do it for the others, but I think there's a lot of questions on the merit of including tokens like ADA or XRP in the reserve. My thought is it would make more sense in the sovereign wealth fund anyway.
Yeah.
Than a strategic reserve. So that was my initial reaction. I'm not getting too hyped up that we're actually going to get a strategic reserve with those 5 assets over the finish line anytime soon.
Mando.
Hey guys.
What up? How you doing?
Sorry, I've only got 10 minutes. But
what do you make of this?
The reserve stuff.
Well, we were talking like overall like weekend news, and then like, would you agree with the statement? Like a lot of people are really pissed off about the picks when it comes to XRP, ADA, etc. What do you make of that?
I think there's just like probably a misconception about the reserve in general. My honest view is that people in their mind think the Fed is about to print money to buy these assets, and there is like a 0% chance of that happening, in my opinion. There's also a very, very low chance, in my opinion, of them using taxpayer assets to do this. I don't think they'd be able to get through a broad-based, particularly an altcoin-based reserve. The only way so if the Fed doesn't buy it, the only way to buy it is, as Tyler says, either via a sovereign wealth fund or via the treasury. There is a part of the treasury which owns foreign exchange holdings, but you have to they own them under like very specific national security interest scenarios, like security and defense. So they'd have to like argue that was somehow needed. And then in terms of how they would buy them, they would probably need to sell gold holdings to be able to do that. I think that's going to be incredibly tough for them to be able to do. Like the idea that they would sell 10% of their gold holdings to buy anything. I think the number one scenario here, and I know that sounds a bit doom and gloom, but like I just think put to a side that you think that the US is going to buy these assets. I think they might call them strategic reserve assets. I think they might stop all sales of them. I think there's a chance that they work alongside some of the miners and start mining some Bitcoin. But I think they may get donations from some of these assets, if I'm honest, like in the same way that World Liberty Financial does. Maybe in return for being a validator or something. Like, I don't think that the real question is, how do they get the money to buy these assets? And that is going to be very politically difficult.
Yeah.
They're not going to be raising taxes to do it. There's some commentary that's on the political level, right? So that's like, if the Fed was to be able to do it, they're not printing money to do this. If the Treasury was able to do it, they'd have to sell some gold holding to do it. And even then, I think that's like politically very, very tough. An executive order, just to be very clear, does not mean they can spend money. Like, they can't spend, like, to actually spend money, you have to get it through Congress and the Senate. So the only way that they could do it via an executive order would be that via this slice of the Treasury called the ESF, they'd have to sell gold holdings to buy Bitcoin, but they're not set. Like, there is no chance in hell they're selling gold holdings to buy ADA. Like, no chance in hell. But they, like, maybe they could get away with doing it for Bitcoin. But even then, I think that's going to be very, very difficult. I think the most likely scenario is that they get this status, they get some form of maybe like participation from the US in the network, or they get some form of tax breaks for being there. I don't know if it will extend to capital gains, but they'll probably get, maybe there's some other benefit for being US based. And then maybe down the line, a sovereign wealth fund. I'm still not sure how the sovereign wealth fund will be funded. There's some talk about, again, like they may have to issue debt, like maybe gold-backed debt to buy things, but which may be more palatable. Maybe they issue some bonds based on the gold, but I think that's going to be a little bit difficult. Or they maybe get some from tariffs. There's been some talk about like the sovereign wealth fund gets funded from tariffs, but we're not talking about like hundreds of billions there. We're probably talking about like tariffs are probably going to make in the tens of billions a year of revenue for the US. So the idea that would then turn into like, and then what percentage of that is going to go to crypto versus other things is difficult to judge. So, but what I do think is if they get this status, you may see other countries move more quickly to buy Bitcoin. The thing about the US is it is kind of hamstrung in its, it has three different governmental bodies, really, right? It has the executive office, it has Congress, it has the Senate. So like the idea that like this can happen, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. If the UAE wants to buy some Bitcoin on the back,
they can just do it overnight.
Right? It'll get done. If Russia wants to do it, it'll get done. If China wants to do it, get done. So weirdly, I think getting bullish around the US's involvement in this, like I actually think when you go through the stages of how this could be done, it's like it's almost infeasible how they would actually end up holding these rather than just like confiscating them. But what I think it does set is a bit of a global arms race for these assets, particularly Bitcoin. And I think this is why Bitcoin dominance, I think, has gone up even higher afterwards as well, because I don't think the UAE buys ADA, even if it's a strategic asset. I do think it might buy Bitcoin if it's a strategic asset in the US. And I think Russia might, I think China might, China has huge mining capabilities. Maybe they get involved in mining. Maybe they encourage their government-owned entities to own Bitcoin. So I think this still is really strong for Bitcoin over everything else. And I think, like when you go through the motions, it's very, very unlikely that I think any tax dollars or gold will be sold to buy altcoins.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is king, and clearly it's shown its hand over the last, we pumped, and then I went to bed, alts were okay-ish, and then woke up, and I mean, you texted me about like Sonic and stuff, and it was like, I woke up and it was like, everything was like down 10%, with Bitcoin still up above 90K. So I think it shows here that BTCD is still king here. Mando, quickly, because I know you got to leave in 5 minutes, and we'll go back to the topics today. What's your outlook on the market now? Like, is this a suckers rally? What is what is it? The
It'll
disbelief
fail like
chart
the
goes,
rest.
it'll fail. Is it? We're either at the stage that it'll fail like the rest, or is this a suckers rally? This is, what do we think here? We do have the crypto summit on Friday, so lots of excitement around that.
It's very difficult to work out like where the misconceptions lie, because I can tell you something like this and we can all be like, okay, well that's probably the most likely thing to happen. But if your Uber driver thinks that the Fed's going to print money to buy XRP, like we may just be living in a different reality. It's still difficult for me to know like what people actually think will happen here. But I also, there's obviously like quite a lot of uncertainty here. Like I'm saying the most likely way that they would buy Bitcoin would be via a sovereign wealth fund, which would probably have to issue debt, or maybe sold some like real estate, maybe. Like I don't know what assets would be donated into that fund and whether they could raise debt against it. But like that feels very different than I think what some people are talking about here.
Yeah.
And so I would probably be fading 60% moves in ADA. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I just don't see a world where that really happens, other than maybe tax breaks for the altcoins is probably like my biggest bull case. But in terms of the global arms race, I think that really, even if it doesn't happen in the US, even if the US just ends up confiscating the Bitcoin that it has and says, look, this is going to form part of the strategic reserve, and then in the future it says any Bitcoin we confiscate will just be kept. I think other countries would buy Bitcoin.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. So we'll see where that takes us. But yeah, Bitcoin's definitely was the move of the weekend. You love to see that. Markets are shaky right now when it comes to the rest, but it looks like we're good on the Bitcoin front for now.
Bearish.
ETH. I
Yeah.
mean,
So I
look
think
at
one of
Ethereum,
the
dude.
takeaways is like, did this just kind of cement 78K as the
Bottom
or 88K, right? Like if you actually take a look back, like that's kind of just a deviation below that 88K level of
here.
support. Deviation, bruv, 88K was the level.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Kind of held it. So
we did hold 88K pretty well.
It looks pretty good. I think Bitcoin looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I really
think any buys in the 80s will age well.
Yeah, I really don't think you're heading to 75K Bitcoin.
We just did 78. Like if everyone's expecting 70, you usually get
people were calling for 69 to 75K when that happened,
but that's Keyboard Monkey.
No, it wasn't just Keyboard Monkey, right?
The only person I saw,
the number one KOL in the whole of crypto, is calling for 75K Bitcoin.
I like these individuals, like as people, all of them.
I'm not saying. I'm just trying to say, like people were saying that it's nothing against the guy's character. I'm just saying, big people said we were going much lower.
I know. No, I know. Like Evan, Ansem, Arthur, a lot of the like you said, the bigger multi-cycle guys that's been around a little longer. Like they all called for low. But if you got 78, like how much lower do you want to go? Like we went from 99.5K on a Friday, Bybit Friday, to 78K on the Friday after. 1 week.
One thing you should just be cognizant of is that like it doesn't, when Bitcoin does this, moves 20% and then back 10%, it's going to be very volatile. So like again, take profits if they're in hand.
Yeah.
Don't FOMO. Really don't FOMO.
Yeah.
But just I always say it, but like we were just talking about it on Friday, me and Ovi. It's like buy stuff when everyone's like, I do not want to own anything.
Well, Friday with the Fear and Greed Index, Tyler 10.
How obvious in hindsight, right? Like
in hindsight,
the obvious.
That played out well.
And I was buying it when it was high, right? Like I was buying it when the Fear and Greed hit 20, right? And it was at 88, and then I bought some at 86, and then 84, and then 78. And like feels like it's not a bad a bad thing to do. So like there are buy good things on bad days is basically what I'm saying. Like I don't really think I think Bitcoin's kind of in a little bit of a no man's land here. Like maybe you buy it right now because it just retraced a little bit. but it's not like screaming either direction.
Yeah. It's just at the bottom of that original range now. Remember that range is like between 90 and 104. It's literally just that it's hanging at the bottom of that now.
It just chop now. It could chop
Yeah.
now until we get more clarity on what it's going to be.
So this is the original range. This is the range.
Yeah.
The famous range, right?
It's back in the range.
Yeah. It went slightly under. People thought 75, but we got 78, which is pretty close. And now we're just back there. We're just literally back a little slightly under the range. So see where that takes us. But even Solana, I mean, it looks better at 158 than it did at 120. You know, it was bleeding. Question for you guys: did any of them on the meme side on Solana? Did we see any relief? I didn't pay attention at all.
Memes less so. AI, interestingly, has had a much stronger bounce than memes.
Solana AI.
Solana AI. So Tyler, I mean, your eyes are always on that. How's that doing?
Now, actually, a lot of the gains are giving back, but in the news yesterday, a lot of them are up 20 to 40%. Foghorn's still up 33%, but it's giving back some gains right now. ARK was up 20%. AI16Z was up 10 to 15%. Whereas like Virtuals was up like 3%. Yeah, Virtuals already is back red actually.
Wow.
And AIXBT is back red. So yeah,
Tough
it's
one.
not great. It doesn't feel like they're coming back. Like this is not the sector to FOMO into right now. Like you can build positions over time.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to buy the rip candles necessarily, especially ones that don't come on in the back of any news. But they're sticking around, which I think is a sign of optimism. I think for the rest of the meme board, Doge was probably the biggest mover. It was up like 6 or 7% on the back, but nothing really up much more than that. Joe Trump was up a lot briefly, but I think it's starting to get back as well.
Okay, that's good. I mean, look, yeah, someone's asking, discuss MSTR not buying on EM. I don't know why this guy doesn't just wait for the dip, but it is what it is. I mean, it's insane to me. Like, I have a question, like honest question. Like, if you're Michael Saylor, do you have like, technically speaking, you have a share, you have you owe it to your investors. What's it called?
Duty.
It's not due diligence is the word, but
Like a fiduciary duty, or
yeah, fiduciary duty. Don't you have fiduciary duty to invest like wisely-ish? I'm not saying like everyone could have timed this top, but it feels like a lot of people could. Like at that level, you have quants that are like fucking next level quants, like, you know, they paid tens of millions of dollars to their job. Don't you wait?
it feels like he telegraphs the moves a lot, but at the same time, it also feels like the market responds now to his
buys, yeah.
So it's
he's,
like
like, bigger than
everyone
the
was
market.
waiting until he bought, and then like
Yeah.
that sell-off took place.
Okay.
But, I mean, it is tough. Like, and I was kind of joking about it this morning, but my God, man, like you could have gotten a 15% better entry on $2 billion if you just waited 5 days last week. So maybe you don't have to deploy all in one chunk. I don't know the rules and everything, but yeah, it does seem wild. If we hold 88K this week, I think we're going to be feeling good after last week.
Yeah.
Just back in the range, I think will be good enough for the near future. But we've got catalysts. So today, 1:30 Eastern, the president's announcing an investment decision. So we have no idea what that is. So stay tuned to find out. And then Friday, first ever crypto summit. So I think there's already been chatter about like, will we pump into that summit on Friday, and then will Friday be another sell the news event? So I think expect more. It also seems, I think Powell is talking Friday. So Friday's got the double. It's got the crypto summit and a Powell speech.
Yeah.
So
Someone's saying, guys, SPX literally smashed all memes yesterday. Why fade away? First of all, it didn't. AI16 and Farcoin moved more than SPX, which is back down to 560 million. Second of all, nobody's fading stuff just because you're buying it, because we're not talking about it. So we don't give a fuck. There's like a million other memes to talk about and more important news. Just wanted to put that out there. Like literally, so it smashed every meme yesterday, bro. The average AI meme moved more than that, and I don't even hate it. I'm just saying. We talked about SPX on Friday. Anyways, Tyler, what else do we have? Feels like we have a lot. We have time, and we have a lot to talk about.
yeah, should we talk about the the crypto summit here this
Hell
Friday.
yeah! I mean, what do we
briefly?
know, right? It's like
We know a
what's gonna-
decent amount. We got a decent release
Do we?
here. So it's
Okay.
happening this Friday. Attendees include prominent founders, CEOs, and investors from the crypto industry, as well as the President's Working Group on Digital Assets. It's going to be chaired by David Sachs, our crypto czar, and ministered by Bo Hines, who is the Working Group's executive director. So those two are going to be running the show. Given we don't know a whole lot else than that based on the announcement, but what Sachs has kind of come out and said, he's been responding to the criticism on the strategic reserve already, and he said this morning, like, "Hey, we're not going to use taxpayer dollars. Like, where are you getting that from?" So
that news was weird. That thing was weird.
So I do think we should expect a little bit more clarity about that on Friday.
So it's what 25 people I heard. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I haven't seen numbers. I mean, that's going to be a tough. I would imagine that's like not the easiest room to get into.
I know,
but that's good.
Yeah, it's fucking great. So the news cycle started with that this weekend, right? That was the first thing. It was Friday night that this happened, and we saw the news. I don't know, man. I mean, what do you so surely like the announcements that came this weekend are in line with the summit being Friday. So you have to assume that there will be some talk of a reserve.
I think
but
so.
I think you buy dips. Especially today, after the show, I'm gonna buy a few dips, spot, and you sell into Friday probably, unless the Friday news is fucking insane. But it's giving me vibes of like, hey, Monday dump from the Sunday move. Like ETH gave it all back, for example. Solana gave half of it back. Bitcoin gave just 50% back, maybe a little less than that. And then you probably there's gonna be so much speculation around Friday, right? It's like it's a crypto summit. It's not a crypto NAI. It's a crypto summit.
Yeah, and we know like this crypto working group has been tasked with I think I developed policies and frameworks for the industry.
Yeah.
Another bullet point on their list is the strategic reserve. They've got 90 or 180 days, I forget off the top of my head, to develop that plan. So the clock is ticking. So I think you can expect progress on at least one of those, and it's not a huge jump to think they're going to talk about both, right? So I think we should expect some news out of that. But again, it's going to be a very volatile day with Powell's conversation on Friday as well. So if Powell perhaps shifts more dovish. So I think we saw those trueflation numbers going around.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how trueflation kind of fits in. I've seen some FUD around it, but trueflation showing that the inflation numbers are lower, like at 1.5%. So that's another wild card. And adding to the potential volatility on Friday is the Powell conversation. So Friday's a big day. And I think we're gonna see a lot leading up to that this week.
Yeah, it's gonna be one thing's for sure is it's gonna be a very volatile week again. So be careful. I wouldn't. I hope people aren't leveraging or like listening, saying you should leverage. I had fun trading spot this week in size, and it felt nice because it's like worst case I'm down, but it's spot, so I'll be up over
just hold it
time. Best case I make money. So the better case happened, but like it's like worst case. So for a moment I was a little down. I'm like, okay, it's okay because it's spot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not paying funding fees, which
Right.
kind of sucks. And you're not gonna get wrecked by an exchange down the line. So good thing to mark. What else? I feel like there was even more going on this weekend.
Well, the BlackRock model portfolio, we talked about it a little bit on Friday. I do think it's worth bring it back up. I just sent you the link.
I was looking for that. There you go. Okay, yeah.
BlackRock
you got it.
Added their Bitcoin ETF to the model portfolio.
So what does that mean?
So the model portfolio is effectively like their official portfolio of investments. And the reason that matters is it's copy traded. So like other funds. Just imagine your mid-level investment fund who sits in Oklahoma or just like middle America, right? Smaller assets under management. They're trying to figure out, how the hell they're going to invest this money. And all right, here's BlackRock's model portfolio. Like, let's take a look at that. And now that has, for the first time, a 1% to 2% allocation to Bitcoin. via the ETF. So like this is where, to me, you really start to unlock that what I call is like the infinite TWAP, where on a weekly basis, monthly basis, the investment money starts trickling in. So like this is not something that's going to pump the price this week or this month, but it is that using the Bitwise analogy, like, so this is what makes it a cargo ship, right? And like the ship is going this direction now, and it's harder to veer the ship off course, and it's got a lot more weight behind it. The ship's getting bigger. So I think this is it's such a big deal, just because like I just don't think people may even realize like investment managers, it's the same thing as like coaches in the NFL. Like no one wants to make their own decisions. Everyone wants just to copy everyone else because that's the safer thing to do. Like you're going to keep your job by copying BlackRock. Like you're not like you make your own decision and you lose, you're going to lose your job, right? And some people are willing to go do that, but I feel like the average is not. So that's why I feel like it's going to be copy traded so much and why it's such a big deal. And I feel like that's been overlooked, right? Because everyone keeps talking about like what is the next bullish catalyst? Like we've got the strategic reserve. Like what could possibly be bigger than that? And I don't know. Here's one. Here's one major headline. The biggest investment firm in the U.S. is now formally allocating 1%, 1 to 2% of their portfolio to Bitcoin. It's a big deal, and it just opens the door. All of this, to me, in aggregate, it opens the door for more investments into crypto in the United States. Yeah, I think that's what's still being overlooked, right? Like we don't know exactly what's going to come, but just the fact that money is pouring into this space means more people are going to start building in this space. Like that's my optimistic view of this. So I think that's where we can get surprise catalysts from.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot going on. And again, but that's very Bitcoin focused, right? It's goes to show you, man, fuck, these dips, you want to really add as much Bitcoin as possible to feel the safest. It just always feels like the safest portfolio. Even if you think, yeah, ETH is the second or Solana is the thing or XP, whatever you like second, that's to the up to the people. It's always Bitcoin. It's wild. Everything else kind of giving back the returns. All right. What about NFTs? We haven't talked about NFTs in a little bit. How are NFTs doing?
NFTs were up nicely today. Green pretty much across the board. I think it looks like we're giving a little bit of it back now.
Yeah.
They kind of moved in line with alts. So Punk's 35.5. Pingus were back over 10 now. They're slightly below. Apes at 14. A couple nice Punk sales.
Yeah.
Also the ape sale, right? That was I think that happened just a few days ago.
Oh, I forget. Ovi bought an ape. Ape Punk, actually. So if you go to recent sales, it was this weekend. Dude, I'm telling you, like there was so much weird fuckery going on this weekend. Like you had the flash loans on the Punks, that was like $50 million flash loans, an ape sale, which usually starts with quite a bit of a run, and then you had all the news. Like it's one of those weekends, you know?
Yeah,
You
we're not
never
even
know when
talking
it
about
hits you.
this. Yeah, there's a $2.2 million digital collectible sale. This
Pretty
ape bug.
big. The guy took a fat loss though. So he took 1,500 ETH loss, but you could argue just a $500,000 loss, but still like it's 1,500 ETH that he lost on that sale since July 2022. So he held 3 years, 2.5 years, and then sold it. It's not the best ape in the collection, but do you think this sale ages well?
What, it's 1,000 ETH and $2 million. Yeah, I was thinking about this. Does this age well? I still like putting that money into the floor better from an investment standpoint, just because of the liquidity. But if you think the floor can get back to 250K USD, have to assume an ape is worth more than 8x the floor.
Yeah, apes were selling for above 10 million last cycle.
So right now they're trading at 24, 20, 23, 24x.
Like literally $10 million here 3 years ago.
I think he could hit a double on that.
Yeah, you can definitely hit a 2x on that. I guess it could be someone that's very like rich and doesn't really, like at this stage, it's like you probably have so much more. It's not like he's full ported, like,
Does that wallet have other punks?
No, nothing. It was only created to buy the tape.
Yeah.
From Coinbase. Look, Coinbase Prime. Yeah, only one transfer internally. Yeah, no, it was only acquired for this. Yeah, it was funded via Coinbase.
A
So,
little too illiquid for me, but
well, I was thinking the other day. That's why I put the thing on. I was like, do I buy 10 Bitcoin or do I buy 10 punks? The answer is probably 5 and 5 for what it's worth.
yeah.
But 80% of people trended towards 10 Bitcoin. I should put 5 as an option. Made that mistake.
I do think 1-1 is different question than 10-10, just because with 10 punks.
Yeah, but 10 is high stakes.
It is, right. No, I like that. It makes it a more interesting conversation. The liquidity does come into issue a little bit more, right? It's going to be a little harder for you to unload 10 punks than Bitcoin. So like one punk you can probably get out of on the floor if it's decent within a few days. 10, like, I mean, just last week we had a stretch where there was like one sale per day. So like it can be dry at times.
Yeah.
But if you look at these recent sales, like the last 2 rows of sales are sick. There's a lot.
No, it's so nice. Because in dollar terms, they're down so bad. So people with cash probably like
Yeah, they were down to like 72K. They might have gotten lower than that. I saw 72K.
They're not much lower in ETH, right? Yeah. It's really in dollars that they got wrecked.
But you get
this one's sick.
3D. You got the tiara.
This one. This one. That's nice. 3D punk. I actually really liked. I almost bought that floor yesterday because I was like, it's not really floor. It was like the cheapest punk on the floor. I like that. I don't know. It's interesting. The only issue, man, is this guy. Ethereum. I mean, it doesn't help, right? It's an Ethereum asset, so it's a long on Ethereum, right? I think it's a long on culture punks, not just ETH. Personally speaking, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it will be denominated in Ethereum. And that's what you're seeing happen right now. It's the Ethereum floor price is holding and the dollar's fluctuating.
Yeah, that is the biggest risk to it. So you do need to have some level of conviction that ETH isn't just going to go to zero.
Okay.
To buy the punks. But I don't know. I still feel like my thesis stays where in a world where Bitcoin sends, people are going to look for the scarce assets, and I do think even despite ETH lagging, I think there will be a look to punks. And hey, maybe we'll have a JPEG ETF from our old pals Van Eck. Got Lucas teasing.
Dude, let's see. I think it's gonna be an NFT ETF. I just don't think it's gonna be crypto penguins only.
I don't think it would be penguins only. I think that would be
it also, like, if you were to have an ETF around NFTs, you have to have punks. It's like it's gotta be, it's the main, like, it wouldn't make sense to be only one asset.
I think it should be like 60 to 70% punks.
What do we think? If we were to have an NFT ETF, what do we think? Punks for sure. There's going to be penguins because Van Eck and Bitwise are both super, like, I mean, Van Eck has had the pudgy penguin PFP forever.
Right.
So it would actually probably be a Van Eck filed ETF or Bitwise filed ETF, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Punks, apes. Pudgy, do we think there's an ape?
Bored apes, yeah, I think they would have to be in there.
Okay. What else though? Like,
it raises the question of, like, are you going to include art, or is it just going to be PFP?
I think I was about to say art over PFPs here.
That makes it trickier.
I think they would probably add a Rafik if they were to add art, just because of the MoMA shit. I don't know what, unless it's just a big basket of penguins and punks and apes, but Azuki. But if you put apes and penguins, you have to put Azuki. See, that's the tough part, man.
Yeah, it really is tricky. Like when you go down the PFP route, but then the art route, like, are you doing one-on-ones? Are you only doing higher supply?
So Bitwise has a blue chip NFT index that they launched in 2021. See, that's from 2021. That was the index back then. Be friends. That would definitely not make it this time. So that's what they had in 2021. That is okay, guys. Like, that doesn't mean
Cyberkongs?
This was here. Yeah, Cyberkongs. Which, by the way, Kraken just announced they beat the case. So SEC dropped against Kraken. So I hope they drop against Cyberkong soon. But punks, See, that's what they would do. See, that was 2021 though.
That's the problem with creating these,
Actually,
right?
autoglyphs, perfect. That makes perfect sense.
It does. But like, so like,
Hmm.
this is the problem with us creating this right now. It's like in 3
Bitwise.
years, if whatever list you create, 30 to 40% of the list is going to be like out.
I feel like they still have the fund right now, the index fund. I'm so curious.
Oh, they actually had.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on their website. What the hell? Oh fuck! I have to like apply. I just want to see it. Like, what is this? Oh my god, negative 80% since inception.
Oh no.
Look at
That's
that.
not
At least
good.
they're honest. Negative 40.
Yikes.
The index fund is down 80% since 20. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's okay. So it's still the
Oh, here's
same
the
holding.
wait. So
Oh no,
what's
there it is. There it is.
Okay. So
50% punks, 14% apes, 14% pudgy, 5% mutants. See that's surprising to me because I feel yeah, I'd rather have more apes than mutants, right? Squiggle, Milady, Azuki, Lil Pudgy, captains. So here's what I would do. I would remove Lils. I would remove mutants.
mhm.
I would replace them with autoglyphs and Fidenza.
Yeah. Problem with autoglyph is just it's so liquid. It's like hard to.
I know, but these funds don't give. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, we're just speculating, but I have a feeling this is gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
think about it. They filed ETFs for every coin at this stage. There's like no more coins to like add in terms of filings. Surely next thing you go for ERC 721s, right?
Yeah. I mean, where everything's getting tokenized, everything's going to get an ETF. It's just a matter of time.
They should add reg guys and rug radio NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, this is great. So Kraken, then we're going to go off, announces that the SEC staff has agreed in principle to dismiss its lawsuit against Kraken with prejudice, with no admission of wrongdoing, no penalties paid, and no changes to its business.
Like it.
GG's. Oh, grifters makes sense. UIT port for XCopy grifters. That actually is a good call. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have said XCopy. You're absolutely right. I apologize. That's a good point.
Sprat masks coming up.
Sam's he's up there. You know what I mean? I guess like when you think ETFs, you think safer side, utility. That's tough, dude. That's gonna be an interesting one, man. I think that would be really hard to pass though, because the ups and downs are insane. Like, do you think the person buying the ETH NFT ETF will like the fact that Azuki, apes, and punks or everything was like so much higher in 21? Like, he sees the thing is down 80% in 3 years. That's just the indexer.
Yeah.
Does he buy that?
I struggle a little bit with the pitch.
I struggle with the pitch as well. But hey, Luca's kind of good at that. So that's his job, and we'll leave it up to him. All right. I think we went around the horn pretty well today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, lads. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of FOMO Hour on Rug Radio. Let's go.